your superhero.
All right, welcome everybody to Predicting Tranquility here in week 2 now. NPC somehow got way less handsome coming in now. No, of course, thank you to NPC for hosting last week and is producing for us tonight because my computer decided to freak out a couple minutes before showtime. But I am Booth for anybody that has not heard my voice before. You've probably seen at least some of the productions I've been part of here. I'm an administrator in the community. I've been around since season 2. And joining me this week, I have my friends Apathy and Bowsy. Apathy, say hello.
Hello, I am Apathy. I am a podcaster and player, and that is it.
That is all Apathy is. There is nothing else that goes on in his life. That is everything that is on his... He has an ID that says both of those things. Once you get to this level inside of Tranquility, you kind of have to give up the rest of your real life.
Quit your job.
Things. Yeah, you have to quit your job.
Girlfriend.
Everything like that. It's
Never
just
leave the house.
This is the big leagues.
I haven't left my home since the season started.
Well, it's going to be a long season then for you, but all right. And Bowsy.
Hello, I'm Bowsy. Last season, I was the off-tank player for Strix. This season, I've taken a step back from the competitive play to be a caster, video editor, as you saw in Overwatch Tranquility, or the Iris podcast. And now here, I am going to be predicting all your matches, probably horribly.
I mean, I think that's going to be the fun of a lot of this is, you know, if we were getting into like OWL or ESPN, any other sources that do prediction and pick'ems like this, they got a lot more going on in the background to help, you know, maybe get a little bit more of a solid prediction, but more of the fact is that the players know what they're doing. And I love everybody here, but it's really hard to predict a Harmony tier match because homework one night or something, and then the score completely flipped the way you think. But we're going to be trying to break all of that down here tonight. For a quick intro of anybody here, this is a new show. This is our second week we've gone through this. We're really just going through a pick'em style thing. We're going to talk about all 72 teams across Tranquility, all 36 matches, 12 in each tier, 3 tiers. And we're going to talk about all of them. We're going to step through group by group. Each one of us are going to focus on a couple of specific matches. We're going to give our input each way. One of the things that I really enjoy, and I really was wanting to implement with this show, is we have a Google form where you can pick your matches. This is separate from the predictions and polls channel. It is pinned in the podcast discussion channel. I will post the link again during the show or after the show, one of the two. Please fill it out. I lock the picks at 8:30 on Tuesdays. Starting next week, I'm going to make a pretty interactive user interface for you guys in a Google Sheet, so you can go and see how well you have picked over these 2 weeks. You can compare how well the tiers are doing, how well people on your own team have been doing. And then we're going to put some leaderboards up, showcase, you know, some people who've had really good pick weeks and people who've had maybe really bad pick weeks. We're also going to be separately showcasing everybody on any of our content shows. So that is the Beat Drop, the Iris Podcast, Coach's Corner. And we will be running kind of like a tournament throughout the season to see who predicts the best. At the very end, the worst person on any of our content creation team is going to have to do some kind of task they're not going to like. If you watch the Iris podcast, you have an idea what Mr. Yeti would probably pick if it was him. It's probably going to involve something with food. And then the highest performing community member will get some sort of prize towards the end of the season, so be on the lookout for that. But to not get too much cooler with this, let's just jump right in and start breaking down these matches. RMA to begin, and we're gonna let Apathy take us away.
All right, so the first match of the week in RMA is Koala Kings versus Squall. Koala Kings, obviously a strong team. I think all of us are kind of on the same page that it's going to be a 4-0 for them. Next up, we have Chrysalis versus the Fire-Breathing Rubber Duckies, which is going on right now. And I believe our scores are actually backwards on the graphic.
Yeah, I think for the two bottom ones, they are backwards. So
yes.
just take that in mind when you're reading these scores.
Yeah.
Take a lot in mind when reading these. I don't know how I even made these graphics this quickly. I lost them all up until 7 p.m. and then my power supply broke earlier. And I'm not going to lie, I don't know how I was even able to get these made. So there's probably going to be a few mistakes tonight. I'm pretty sure for one of the Transcendence tier groups, I labeled a Discord tier group. So, we're gonna work through it.
We'll get it.
It's still incredible in the time that you had. I believe most of us we all picked Chrysalis to win that with varying map scores taken by the Duckies, and I believe they are on map 4 with Chrysalis up 3-0. So we'll see how that one pans out. Lastly, we have Strix versus Sky Guardians. All of us were on the side of Strix, but that it's going to be a very, very close match between these two teams.
Yeah, Strix, had a very good win last week. That was kind of, I know Capital was really talking them up, so kudos for him for getting that right. So yeah, again, we have the he had the two flip there, but all right, let's move on to RMB here. Bowsy, take us away.
All right, so our first match of the week, we have Firefight versus Luminous Foxes. Obviously, one of the big matches here, and we do see that we do have some separation between the scores. Some of us think that Luminous Foxes are going to win. Some of us think that Firefight is going to win. So definitely an interesting score variable there. Next up is the Big Bang Buccaneers versus the Fighting Potatoes, and most of us, apart from Booth, again, think the Big Bang Buccaneers are going to take this away. In our final match of the week, we have the Miami Yikes versus Fahrenheit 972. And again, for the first time in this Harmony R&B, we're on the same page. We all think that Miami Yikes is going to take it, albeit with some varying scores here and there. So definitely interesting to see this sort of variety that we have.
It has been. I think the R&B group's been a fun one. They're going to have to watch this season. Once we get closer towards the end, we'll maybe get a bit more discussion about playoff pictures, especially closer into stage 2. But I have a feeling we're going to get some dark horses out of this group. Just even looking at their seeding, some teams that you have 6 in your group. People who are in the bottom 3 part of that are going to be some pretty heavy hitters going into stage 2, which will help them out in the playoffs. But all right, we're going to move on to Indigo A now, which we have the Reminiscence at the top currently, followed by the Flying Lions. Okay, actually, I'm on the wrong page. That is the Discord tier.
I mean,
everything is going so great. Everything's going great. No, okay. Indigo A. We have the Vanguard Spartans against Phoenix Rising, the 2 and 3 seeded teams here in the group. It's going to be a good one, 1-0 for each way here. I'm excited to see what goes on. We all seem to be on the same page going with the Vanguard Spartans here, but Bowsy seeming to be the one in between here, giving the Phoenix Rising a little bit better of a chance. But then we have our featured match, Boot versus Flashbacks. Make sure to tune in tomorrow night for that here on the Tranquility channel. And pretty cut and dry with our board here. We got 4-0s across. Flashbacks won 4-0 last week. Boop ended up losing 1-2, or ended up with, I think it was 1-3 or 1-2, maybe 2-3. I forget the exact scoreline for them.
There was some wackiness in that match.
Yeah, that was a weird one. So this is going to be hopefully they can get a couple maps here. But Flashback's looking really strong as always, and we seem to be on the same page with this one. And then we go to Ragnarok Loki versus Frost Nova. All of us going with Ragnarok Loki here. Apathy giving them a benefit of the doubt here with one map. But Frost Nova currently sitting at the bottom of the group. Both teams 0-1, so the win here is going to be big for either team and push them up into the top couple. And let's go ahead and move on to Indigo B. Let's keep rolling. And that's going to go to Apathy.
All right, so the first match of this week is Modify versus the Palm Beach Poggers. This was a fairly spread out opinion-wise. Booth going with Modify, Bowsy going the opposite, and I'm taking the 4-0 for Palm Beach Poggers. To me, this is a really interesting match because this may sound weird. I feel like Palm Beach Poggers is like Modify Season 5, which is when Modify was at their strongest. So it's kind of like the "Who are you? I'm you, but stronger" meme going on right now. And I think Palm Beach Poggers is gonna take this one. Following that, we have Jersey Boys versus Hades. This is a hard one because Hades is new to the tier. They didn't play in week 1, but they're starting off with a loss, unfortunately. But Jersey Boys is a really strong team. I think some of us gave Hades the benefit of one map or two just because we haven't really seen them yet. It's going to be tough. And lastly, we have the Turbo Throwers versus the Jetpack Cats. And most of us are leading pretty heavily towards the Jetpack Cat win for that match.
Makes sense there. And then we'll go into our last group here for the Harmony tier. We went through our ARM and Indigos there, and we have I think some out of our closest matches. I think R&B is really the one to look out for here. But I am really excited for that modified Palm Beach Poggers map you were talking about there, Apathy. I think that was the one match I really pinpoint out of this that I was most excited to see. Both teams seem to be lined up pretty well, but I'm really excited to see Hades as well. So I'm going to have my eyes on Indigo A towards the end for this week as well. And we'll definitely talk about some of these matches when we get into next week. We're sometimes going to insert some locks of the week and upsets of the week. If you're familiar with the Iris podcast from last season, we're going to be skipping that here for the beginning. But in the future, we might be bringing those back into the show. If you guys want to see that, let me know. We can incorporate some of those things. But we're just going to move on to the Discord tier now. And as we move into the RMA, we're going to let Bowsy take it away.
All right, so let's go into RMA. The first match, Reckless Sigma versus SEAL Team Spuds. We're all on the same page here, but Apathy thinks that SEAL Team Spuds is going to sweep, while me and Booth do think that Reckless Sigma is going to put up a challenge and take at least one map. Very interesting score from there. The next match being Valkyrie versus Monarch. And while Booth and Apathy are 3-1 for Valkyrie here, I said that Monarch would beat Valkyrie 3-2. So definitely an interesting move on my part there, but I'll get into that if we decide to talk about it later. And the final match of the week, please excuse me, I need to look in my notes here. Yes, Domination versus Poseidon. We seem to be split as well. Booth and Apathy think that Domination is going to be taking the victory. I, however, am favoring the Greek gods, and I'm saying Poseidon is going to win, albeit Domination taking a map. So definitely an interesting sort of mix between predictions in Discord.
Yeah, let's look at that Monarch match. So this would be Monarch's first win since joining for last season, if you get that right there, Bowsy.
Yes, it would be Monarch's first win, and the reason I chose this originally, I was planning out my lock of the weeks and upset specials. I labeled this as my Discord tier upset special, and I feel like it's going to be that case because you remember Valkyrie last season; they had a really rough start. And then they started to pick up the momentum. They started doing well, and they ended up getting a pretty good seed in the playoffs. I think this season we're going to see that exact same Valkyrie. I think they're going to have a rough start. They're going to take a while to get going, and eventually they'll hit the gas full throttle and start making those wins happen. So that's what I feel like is going to happen for Valkyrie. It's just going to be a rough road to get there, and I feel like that Monarch is going to be taking the victory in this match. But Valkyrie, I don't hate you. I don't hate Jimbo. I don't hate any of you. As I see some Pantheon org people in the chat. But I do feel like you're a good team. It just needs to take a while for you to get your first victory.
Yeah, that's, again, the benefit of these stages. You can have a rough stage one if need be and bounce back, and that's what happened with Valkyrie last season. But all right, we're going to move on to RMB here now. We have Reminiscence at the top of the pool here, followed by Flying Lions, going down through the Quokka Queens, Inferno Foxes, Maelstrom, and Mechanized. But our first match is going to be, we're going to have I forget, we had the names for the org. I heard it, the Marsupial org, a really good name from Yeti. Yeah, Yeti had it. I heard someone had a really good name for that earlier, I heard too. But we're having them going against the aerial feet. Yeah, alliteration animals, something. You know, I'm excited though. We're having them going up against the aerial felines here. We're gonna have them going up against the Flying Lions. Pretty solid picks across us. We all seem to believe in the Quokka Queens here more than the Flying Lions. I mean, both teams
that can do a cat. It's a
I know
quokka
something
in nature. If you've watched Animal Channel, you would know that, right?
They're just too cute. You can't beat it. But I mean, they're at the tops of the group here. That's the 2 and 3 seeded teams. I mean, we had the Quokka Kings. I think had a 3-1, 3-0 for the Flying Lions. So I mean, pretty decisive picks on each side here, but that's going to be a very good match here. And then we have our featured match, which is going to be on Thursday of this week. We have Maelstrom versus Mechanized, 2 teams definitely known here in the Tranquility community from previous seasons. Maelstrom jumping up here to the Discord tier this season. Both teams sitting at the bottom, though, had rough starts to the season here, but they're going to have their feature match. It's going to be fun to see. A lot of names people are going to recognize for sure. Maelstrom just picked up a new flex support, I believe, so I'll be excited to see them in their first match. And then at the end, we're going to end it with Reminiscence versus the Inferno Foxes, and we're all across the board here as well. We seem to all be kind of on the same page. We had a little bit of differing opinions there for that featured match, but all of us leaning towards Reminiscence. I'm giving Inferno Foxes at least a map here, but Reminiscence sitting pretty well here at the top of this group, and it looks like we're all thinking that it's going to stick out that way. Okay, so now we're going to jump over to Indigo A. Apathy, please take us away.
All right, our first match of the week is going to be Ragnarok Fenrir versus the Chicago Chaos. Chicago Chaos, a new team we don't know too much about, but Ragnarok Fenrir did struggle in their first match of the season. So I think a lot of us still went with them, but made the scores a little bit closer, 3-2, 3-2, and 3-1. Following that, we have Wildfire versus Excalibur. We have not seen Wildfire. They are also a new team, replacing a team that has dropped. Did we see Excalibur last week, or were they one of the forfeits? They won.
I think they won last week, I
Yeah,
believe.
Excalibur played last week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did Wildfire,
right.
I'm pretty sure, because they locked in on Tuesday and then won on Wednesday, from what I remember.
Is that so?
Because that's what Yeti said on the podcast. I could be wrong about that.
I think you're right. I think you're right on that.
Well, albeit all of us leaning on the side of Wildfire to take that match. And lastly, we had Lotus versus Redacted. Lotus, obviously, the second place team in the preseason finals, looking pretty strong. And so a lot of us are on the side of Lotus for that match.
Yeah, I think I have that one flipped on the graphic there.
Yes, it
yeah,
sadly
I have that one
is,
flipped.
so-
I remember picking Lotus to win on that one
Again,
as well.
things are a little scuffed around here. Please excuse us for everything.
Yeah,
things happen.
we'll get it
you know?
figured out.
Computers break. Technology is fun.
I think this might be one of the first groups where we have all picked the same winner across for all 9 picks there. So Indigo A, we're all seeming to be kind of on the same side. But okay, we have that now. Let's go ahead and move to Indigo B here and wrap up the Discord tier. Bowsy.
Boof, I need to wonder why you gave a map to Alt F4.
I believe in mixed ready Overwatch, okay? I believe.
Okay. Well, regardless, we all do think Paradise Lost is going to beat Alt F4. Heading into the second match, which is V3 versus Mark 3, we all think that it is going to be Mark 3 taking it. And also, I apologize. I needed to say 3-0. I was going to say 3-1. I had to cave into the meme of going 3-0 for the 2-3 teams. My fault. And then when it comes to the second match, which is Holy Jalapenos versus Echo Fleet, Apathy and Boof both think that Holy Jalapenos are going to take the victory. I, however, think that Echo Fleet is going to take the victory. So that is a very interesting sort of difference there. Care to enforce why you think Holy Jalapenos are going to take the victory?
They're a bit of a meme off-roll team, but all of their players are just very, very strong. Even though they're on off-rolls, they have a lot of knowledge about the game, and they're just a good team. They went out in preseason pretty early to the Quokka Queens, but Quokka Queens are also looking like a tier favorite. I'm just having a hard time picking against the Holy Jalapenos in this group in general, personally.
Yeah, I'm on the same way there. I still have them at the top of the group here at the end. Off-roll, that doesn't bother me as much. Really, it comes down to when you have someone that's shot calling, that knows what they're supposed to say. That matters a lot, especially, even in any tier here, especially in Discord tier. I'm probably going to be picking with them for at least the rest of the stage. But that's going to wrap up our Discord tier pick tier. Kind of on the same page here, but we're going to slide into the Transcendence tier now. We're going to start off in RMA, which a little bit of a difference here. The Arctic Foxes did just leave, so the Council of Anime Girls are going to have a bye this week. But then our final 2 matches are going to be Amnesia versus Dirt, which is our featured match on Wednesday. That will be starting at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll be running on a 30-minute delay. And then our last match, we're going to have Corvidity going up against the Devil Dukes. And for Amnesia versus Dirt, we all picked Amnesia to win. 3 1s or 3 2s across the board. And then I'm the only one that went with Corvidity early on here. 4 O's the other side in our group. So this one's kind of up in the air. We're hoping to get a team replaced here pretty quickly for the Arctic Foxes to join into the group. But the Devil Dukes, I know I picked against it. They're looking pretty strong. They had a 4-0 last week, but I've known Corvidity for a while. I believe in Corvidity to at least get some wins here. They did pretty well here in our start of last season, getting that 2 seed going to the playoffs, I believe it was. At least, 2 seed on the Indigo side going in. And Amnesia versus Dirt. I mean, Amnesia had definitely a good week. Dirt also with the win, so both 1-1 or 1-0. It's going to be interesting to see how those two face off. Definitely make sure to tune into that one. I am sleeping on Dirt here, Captain Jack. I'm sorry. I like Dirt, but I don't know if I like Dirt this much.
This one's going to be an interesting one because Dragon was formerly on Dirt, now on Amnesia.
Amnesia, that's right.
I think that's going to be a fun, maybe not revenge matchup. I think they're all still good friends, but definitely a fun matchup between Dragon and his former team.
That'll be very fun to watch. We'll be looking excited at that one. So again, make sure you tune in on Wednesday though to catch that one. But all right, let's go into RMB here. Apathy, please break it down for us.
All right, RMB. The first game is going to be Celestial Wind versus Battalion. Celestial Wind coming off a very, very strong win versus Godhand, and Battalion forfeiting week 1. There's a chance they might forfeit again, so I just took the safe pick with Celestial Wind. Following that, we've got Manifest versus Zeus. Manifest looked very strong in the preseason finals. A lot of us are leaning towards that way. Bowsy gave Zeus 1 map for that match. And then we've got Godhand versus the Reckless Platlaws, which that's the match that I'm looking for in this group. I think this one's going to come really, really close. And I was very, very close to giving Platlaws the 3-2 over Godhand, actually. But in the end, I went with Godhand just like the rest of us. So we'll see how that one plays out.
Yeah, just like you, I was shuffling back and forth on this for a few minutes. I was like, do I believe in Godhand or do I believe in the Platlaws? Which one would take the advantage? I inevitably went with Godhand because I feel like if Godhand get enough practice, because they said they didn't really get a lot of practice for the match against Celestial Wind. If they get enough practice, they should win this match.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, when it comes down at the end, Godhand has something up their sleeve, and it's the fact that they're all Godhand. They've been playing together for so long. They can pull things out of nowhere. That still baffles me. One of my favorite teams to always produce on Wednesdays. I would just keep the cam on Minnie the whole time because Minnie would do something crazy. Apologize to Celestial Wind here. I didn't have the logo for this week, so you guys got the wonderful Tranquility logo on our graphic. But I'll get that straightened up for next week. But looking forward to RMB matches here. Going to be looking at that GDH Platlaws game. But all right, let's go to Indigo A here, Bowsy.
All right, for Indigo A this week, we have the first match, Olympus versus Atlas Arcadia. Me and Apathy both think that Atlas Arcadia will be taking the 3-1 victory. However, Booth thinks that Olympus is going to win Atlas Arcadia 3-2. So that's an interesting sort of switch from all of us. The second match, Shockwave versus SS Cuttlefish. We're all on the same page here with SS Cuttlefish taking the victory. However, a differing amount of maps. Booth and Apathy gave 2. I gave 1 for Shockwave. And finally, the final match, which is Ragnarok Odin versus the Whirlwind Wildcats. Again, Booth giving a map over to the Whirlwind Wildcats. However, me and Apathy both think that Ragnarok Odin is going to sweep the floor and get a 4-0 victory. Booth, do you care to explain your Olympus choice?
I love the logo. I'm not gonna lie. I honestly.
Okay, fair enough.
So when I had to do the generate the graphics for the first week of this, we didn't have the Olympus logo set up yet, so I had to go in and cut it and frame it in to work for the package. So I was looking at it for 15 minutes, and I was like, I'm gonna like this team. I'm just gonna go with them for a while. Mm-hmm. But no, I got to see one of the things last week. It's 0-1 for both teams there. Neither coming off the best week ever. So I think this got a lot to prove, Olympus being newer, of course, giving the underdog a chance here, but definitely not giving the underdog a chance in the Ragnarok game. Odin looking incredibly dominant, maybe one of the favorites in the tier. Whirlwind Wildcats not getting too much love out of us here yet, but, here, prove us wrong. Keep showing off what the aerial felines can do. But we're we're going to move it to our last group here in the Transcendence here. We're going to go to the Indigo B with lots of names familiar here from people around in previous seasons, a couple new. So our first matchup, we're going to go with NYAA for Not Your Average Academy, or NYA if you're cultured, going up against Skybox. Both 0-1 at the moment. They both in the schedule they're listed as going 0-4. I think one of those might have been that they didn't get to compete last week. It might have actually been an 0-4. I should have checked on that before we got further in. But both teams with a lot to prove here. I'm excited to see who's going to get the victory out of this. I ended up giving it to Skybox, and then Bowsy and Apathy giving it over to Nya, and all of us with 3-2. So we're expecting a close one out of this. A little less close, it looks like, when we get down to the Decapitators versus Alpha, all of us going with the Decapitators here, which if we showed this graphic last season, that would have been could have gotten quite a reaction out of everybody. But looking at how well they did in the preseason, I'm going to guess that's probably what's weighing on both of your guys' picks there as well, as it was for me. Both teams 1-0 with the good victories last week. All of us thinking it's going to keep close, at least with Alpha getting the map, but still across the board. And then we get down to Cobalt versus the Bird Society Ibis. I might have this one flipped.
I believe this one is flipped.
I believe this one's flipped because I think we all were in unison with Bird Society Ibis winning this one. So yeah, I apologize on that being flipped there. But again, we're all pretty similar across the board in this group. I think I'm the only one that has a differing pick here. We have a 4-0 out of Apathy even, with Bowsy and I at least giving a map back the other way. But Indigo B, at the moment, it looks like there's a couple of big hitters with Ibis, the Decapitators, and Alpha. So the Decapitators Alpha match is really going to be where I'm focusing my attention on this week. I'm going to be excited to see who can get that victory. And then whenever those guys go up against Bird Society Ibis as well. Yeah, sorry I'm in the microwave. I think my router might need to be reset here. This is actually what I look like. I put a filter on whenever you see me normally to make myself look semi-normal in the end. But the secret's finally out.
Well, we already thought you were a computer program, so...
Yeah, now it's even the lore has finally made it all the way through. It's still hard to really talk about a lot of these teams so far. There hasn't been tons showcased yet. We've only got to see one match out of a lot. We don't want to weigh too much of our predictions on how teams finished last year because, of course, a lot of things change. But that's going to wrap up our predictions here. So starting next week, we're going to...
It turns out when Capital isn't here, things go much faster.
Just a little bit.
Talk.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Well, I'm sure we'll have him back on though, and then it'll be fun to keep him under control. But so starting next week, we're gonna bring in and give you guys some leaderboards and updates on how well people have been picking. We're gonna have the scores put forward. I'm gonna have I'll probably post in the podcast discussion again. Make sure if you haven't filled out the form, please go do so. That is pinned in the podcast discussion channel. I'm going to go through and I'll add a way for you guys to be able to see the scores that have gone through. The link that is pinned in podcast discussion will always be the correct link. I just clear out the responses and change the form before it goes in again, but I'll repost it every week for people if you need to see it again, probably around like Saturday or Sunday. It'll change varying on how available I am to get everything set up. But a big thank you again to NPC for stepping in last week and taking over and then helping out again this week. We're going to get you Capital and K-Wing scores from week 1. And then next week, I'll go over our 3 scores for our picks as well. And then we'll have our leaderboard showcasing not only the community, but our content creation team to see how well everybody has been picking. But wrapping up here, we're going to give everybody a little bit of a final word of anything they want to go through tonight. So Apathy, if you have anything last you want to say here before we end our broadcast.
Just please prove us wrong or prove us right, depending on what team you're on. Instead of talking in chat, bring it on the field. I don't know. That's all I got.
Yeah, very good advice there on that. Remember, this is our full-time job. We're having a lot of fun doing this. We hope you guys have fun watching these broadcasts or going through the predictions. At the end of the day, we're kind of looking over the tournament pages. We're looking through the Discord, watching matches, checking scores. That's how we're basing a lot of this. So if you want to speak to us here, tune into the cast, talk in the Discord, talk in the channels, talk here in Twitch chat. win some games, and and that's how you get your name talked about on here. We
Mostly
hope
win games.
Mostly win games. That's a very good way, especially on this, at least on this one, to to at least have your name talked about a bit here. But Bowsy, do you have any closing words?
Yes. First thing, if you like to really much complain about any of our predictions here today, I have a water bottle here with a sticky note. It's falling off, obviously, but it says your tears. So let me just take a drink of this real quick.
I think I have that same water bottle.
Maybe. And second off, prove us wrong. We're not professionals. We don't do this for a living, as Booth said, unless you're me, in which case you spend hours of your life every day trying to analyze every single match in Tranquility so you can decide a winner. But regardless, prove us wrong. We're not professionals. We're not here to make money off of this. No, just prove us wrong.
Well, if anybody has any feedback over how the show's running, of course, this is a new broadcast here. If you want to get involved, please reach out to myself or Mr. Yeti, NPC, anybody whose faces you're kind of seeing around here. We'll get you guys pointed in the right direction. We're always looking for help with these, behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, on the scenes even. And any feedback you guys have on this, please let us know. We're still trying to work around and showcase these shows a little bit. In the future weeks, might be trying out a couple of new things with this one, with a little bit messing with the format. But please, if anything pops up here, feel free to let us know. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, big thank you to NPC. Thank you to Apathy and Bowsy for showing up again. And we will catch you guys next time.